Laura Jigsaw Loomer, that be, she needs to keep Jasmine Crockett's name out of her mouth. And I'm going to tell you why. Jigsaw has a lot of self-image issues, identity issues, and this has been the best thing that has ever happened to her in her entire life. It is to serve on the administration of Trump. There have been so many underhanded schemes and dealings, and just, you would think that a person that comes from a group of people that have suffered so much persecution around the globe would have a little bit of more decorum about themselves. But not when it comes to Laura Loomer. Oh, no. Not when it comes to her. Laura Loomer is now making her rounds again in regards to a very racist and disgusting statement that she made about Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett in regards to the passing of Charlie Kirk. So Charlie Kirk had been a long time supporter of anti-Semitism. Okay, this goes way back. This is not just something that happened since the Gaza Strip has been under attack by Israel. No, this is a long time ago when Charlie was in high school. Okay, he has a friend that allegedly states that he always held anti-Semitic views, and very dangerous ones. And now that he's unfortunately passed, his team, his wife, and his company, Turning Point USA, is trying to do damage control. Okay. And also, when they caught the suspect that allegedly has been deemed as the murderer for Charlie Kirk, that's when you started to hear a lot of the, well, it didn't surprise me that this was going to happen. Or there were comments that were made by people that he had continuously offended throughout his career as a pollster, as someone who was a political commentator, and someone who owned their own organization in politics. Okay, so you know, when you make these statements, okay, they can outlive you. And that's what's occurring with Charlie Kirk, and a lot of the anti-Semitism, a lot of the racist comments that he's made throughout his career. And so when he passed, a lot of people started doing digging. You know, that's the normal thing that people do with people who have a platform. They're well known. They're going to start digging for certain things that may be unveiled that you didn't know about them. All right, or things that were hidden for a long time because the person that was alive did a lot of damage control themselves. So things like Charlie Kirk turned to anti-Semitic stereotypes amid the Israel-Hamas war. Now, again, I stated that allegedly to one of his classmates in high school, he had always felt that way. I did a YouTube video about him on my own channel a few months ago, before he even passed, where he made some really detrimental statements about black leadership in the Texas region that suffered the horrific loss of the floods. He blamed that on DEI leaders, not blaming it on the fact that Trump had cut FEMA, not blaming it on the fact that Trump had allowed Doge in his administration to cut preventive weather alert services that had already been in operation, and that was improving by the year to lessen the amount of tragedies. He didn't say anything about that. He only mentioned that, oh, it's DEI leadership. And these are some of the things that can outlive you. So again, he had a high school student that allegedly said his name is Nick Caputo. He made this statement back in 2/25/25. That was this earlier this year. He said, I went to high school with Charlie Kirk and unfortunately was in several classes with him. He's always been an effing tool and deeply insecure. Guy got rejected from West Point and blamed it on an imaginary black person because he was sure that affirmative action was the only way he could not have been accepted. Unfortunately, he says that he's mediocre, but rather than the prove a point, he parasitically tries to bring you down to his level via logical fallacy rather than converse. He tries to dupe the people watching. He says, now the spiciest part is this. He openly said that all the Jewish kids at the school were going to hell, and he would, unprompted, go in tirades about Mexican kids needing to go back to Mexico. He didn't become radicalized. He was always a POS. That's what his former classmate said about him allegedly. Now, here goes Laura Loomer. Laura said, I don't even want to hear Charlie Kirk claim he is pro-Trump ever again. After this weekend, I'd say he has revealed himself as a political opportunist. Ain't that the kettle call? Ain't that the pot calling kettle black? And I have had a front row seat to witness the mental gymnastics these last 10 years. Lately, Charlie has decided to become like a charlatan, claiming to be pro-Trump one day while he stabs Trump in the back the next. Turning Point USA was only able to thrive due to the thanks of President Trump. Now, this is what that statement that Laura Loomer made was a while before Charlie Kirk passed, okay? But not too far before he passed, but around that time before he passed. She is for what's good for Trump, not what's good for the Jewish people. No. It's for what's good for Trump. What pleases the emperor. That's what she's in this for. We're going to talk some more about her too. And after Jasmine Crockett made these statements that were true for herself, and she was able to justify why she made those statements. And she was deeply concerned that there were not enough congressmen and women that did not look like her, that didn't vote against him possibly being recognized as a person that can lay in state. He was not an elected official. So they didn't give him enough votes, or it was not enough. Martin Luther King was not even laid in the tundra of the Capitol. And he held one of the largest American rallies in the United States history with the March on Washington. And he was not even laid in the state for our country. Okay? Now, that is why there's such a divide within our lawmakers, because a lot of them do subscribe to a lot of racist rhetoric privately, but yet they want the votes of the people that they hold these racist ideas about. Now, the next thing that I want to go over with you is this.
One of the things I do want to point out that's not been laid out that honestly hurts my heart is when I saw the no votes, there were only 2 Caucasians. For the most part, the only people that voted no were people of color, because the rhetoric that Charlie Kirk continuously put out there was rhetoric that specifically targeted people of color. And so it is unfortunate that even our colleagues could not see how harmful his rhetoric was, specifically to...
Let me ask you, because I do want to play a couple of statements that you made earlier this year.
Okay. Unfortunately, we have someone that is occupying the White House. And as far as I'm concerned, he is an enemy to the United States. They want to show that they are loyal to this, I don't even know what to call him. I've called him so many things, but this wannabe Hitler for sure.
And to be clear, the president has attacked, other people have attacked you in his orbit, maybe not him personally. But do you have a responsibility as an elected official not to raise the temperature, but rather lower the temperature, particularly when there are people out there who listen to elected officials all over the place who are not well, who use that as a way to instigate the political violence that you are calling out?
I think that my responsibility is to be transparent and to be honest. And the reality is that we are living in a time in which this administration and this regime is not interested in making sure that people understand history. We need to understand why they are so problematic. And so I am using that language because it is accurate language. When we see the consolidation of power, when we see them trying to chill speech of jokesters, when we're seeing all of this, that is a playbook out of Hitler, and I won't deny it. Like, these are the facts. But one of the things that I've never done that the president has done consistently is called specifically for violence. He has said, oh, beat that one up. He has said those types of things. We know that Charlie Kirk was saying things about who should live and who should die. I have never said those kinds of things. And I think that those things are the ones that are really, really dangerous. And even still, some of that will still be protected. We know that we still have laws that are on the book that certain speech is not protected, that it does cross over when you are inciting violence, such as what we saw on January 6th, when you are doing what we consider to be a terroristic threat of some sort, where it's a matter of, I'm not just saying it, but I have the apparent ability to carry that out. But me laying out historical facts, just like they don't want to talk about the fact that slavery was real in this country and that my people were enslaved and dragged and raped and abused, and they don't want to account for any of that. They don't believe in reparations. No, I think it is okay for me to understand history and communicate in a very clear way about why we should feel as if there is a concern. And when we swear an oath, which is what that first clip was, we swear an oath to the Constitution to protect against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And so if there is someone that is evidencing themselves, such as the president, who is going out and says, yes, I will take a $400 million plane from a foreign government, or is engaged in receiving crypto that we cannot track.
Made his decision to make Laura Loomer basically an unofficial, advisor. She's definitely, even though I was never really a big fan, but I will say this, that she's nowhere near Kellyanne Conway. I was not a fan of Kellyanne Conway, but I will say this, at least Kellyanne Conway was actually smart. She was actually brilliant. She was smart. Did I believe in her politics? No. Neither did her family, because she ended up in a divorce, unfortunately. So when he made his final decision to tag Laura Loomer onto his team, for what reason, I do not know. A lot of people came against him in his team and had advised against him doing that because she was really a nobody. She was a nobody. She was a person that tried to run for Congress twice, never came close. And she was described by some of her colleagues as being cringe or fringe on fringe, someone that was disingenuous, and that they were that she was not the type of person that would bring any type of seriousness to his campaign. Also, too, a lot of people stated that this was a new low for him to go into because they knew her background and how racist she has been deemed to be.
Laura Loomer, who last week, or a few days ago actually, said about Jasmine Crockett, it hurts my heart that we have ghetto black bitches who hate America serving in Congress. I actually feel disgusted saying that out loud. She typed it with her full chest, and someone else called her out for it, and she said I meant every word. So I hope she doesn't die. I hope Laura Loomer doesn't die, because I cannot deal with week or months of people pretending like this bitch wasn't racist as fuck, as we're dealing with Charlie Kirk right now. Now, Donald Trump went on to say, actually, By the way, scary Halloween costume idea.
When she made the comment about Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett being ghetto, that's a projection, because see, ghetto had nothing to do with the black people at all. Okay, ghetto had nothing to do with black people at all. Ghetto became a slang or a term that they put on black people after civil rights. All right, no one called black people ghetto because black people tried their hardest to be those that were attributing towards society. We were trying to go in a positive direction. Nobody referred to black people as ghetto. That was a term that had been given to the Jewish people from Europe hundreds of years ago, and it followed them. It was a derogatory term, and how they were classified, their section of their cities and nations that they moved to. They referred to them as the ghetto nations. It was just a terminology. Part Yiddish, part of Jewish, part of something else. But the root of it is a European term that made a distinction on the area of town that the Jewish people would more likely reside in. It followed them as a negative term all the way through the Holocaust, and even when they came here to the United States to escape persecution. Okay? It followed them here. And now for her as a Jewish American to now project that term that was put on her and her people for hundreds of years, to me, I feel like that's very disingenuous. And again, she has a high level, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, of self-hate, of self-image issues. You have a lot of folks that are Jewish that do not want to be Jewish. This moment in time where you can just say that you're a liberal or a Republican has been one of the best times for some Jewish people, in my opinion, because a lot of them signed up under the Republican and that right-wing extremists, and they don't realize that just 50 years ago they were not able to even go out at night without the fear of the Klan coming for them or bombing their synagogues. But they have selective memory. And again, this is a time where they can feel like they can be ambiguous white looking. Then I don't have to be uncomfortable about my faith around you. Okay, I can also throw racist hurdle racist terms to black people, Latin looking people, darker looking people, because I look white. Laura Loomer, Jewish activist close to Trump, downplays ties to anti-Semites. Okay, far-right U.S. provocateur embraced by Holocaust denier Nick Fuentes. Now, if you don't know about Nick Fuentes, that's another baby Hitler. He's very irrelevant. Okay. That's another person that hates their identity because he too is Latin. Okay, he's white Latin, but he doesn't want to connect to that. So what he does is, again, you got a lot of people that are living in a time right now in America for the first time in their life. They're able to hide under the umbrella of political parties. And if they don't want to divulge what their faith is or what their true ethnicity is because they have white skin, this is one of the best times of their life. They finally get to cosplay as a white man, even if they're a woman. They finally get to feel white patriarch. Okay, denier Nick Fuentes, and appearing on conspiracy theory networks InfoWars, is under scrutiny. There she goes right there. This was printed by the timesofisrael.com. Okay. So Laura Loomer is this. She's a grifter. She is a opportunist. Okay. She is someone that really did not have any connections, any ties. She's willing to throw anyone under the bus to get her name in lights. That's how bad she wants it. Okay. Her early life and education. Laura Loomer was born in Tucson, Arizona in 1993. Her and her two brothers were raised in Arizona. She stated that she grew up in a very violent household. This woman has a lot of undealt with trauma. Okay? Psychological trauma. All right, it's not an excuse, but this is why she acts the way she does. This is why her facelifts have gone so extreme. This is the reason why she spews out hate. This is why she hates her own ethnicity. When she was 12, she was sent to a boarding school. Shortly after, she attended Mount Holyoke College in Massachusetts. Leaving after one semester, she said she felt targeted for being conservative. She transferred to Barry University. Wait a minute. She felt for being conservative. Yeah, there are a lot of liberals in Massachusetts. However, Massachusetts is one of the forerunning New England states. Leaving after one semester. Okay, and then she transferred to Barry University in Miami Shores, Florida, and she graduated in 2015 with a bachelor's degree in broadcast journalism. Now, that's all. I don't even think this woman has a graduate degree, okay? In comparison to who she's trying to insult as being a ghetto bitch, who is a professional lawyer with her own practice, who had to sacrifice her practice to be able to fully serve her people in her congressional district. She compares herself to Jasmine Crockett. It's laughable. Loomer has referred to Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who was Somali American, as a black dog whose district is literally Somalia. Loomer falsely claimed that Omar's relatives sleep in caves and has sex with goats. Loomer said that Somalis are so inbred that they have an IQ that is legally classified as a mental retardation. My God, my God, my God. After the death of U.S. Representative Sheila Jackson, Loomer called Jackson Lee a ghetto bitch as one of the most low IQ members of Congress. She referred to Jasmine Crockett again as a ghetto black bitch who hates America, and said that Crockett should be working at KFC. A before and a before. Loomer is a sideshow. This woman is a sideshow. Okay? She's a sideshow. Her face, her plastic surgery is a laughingstock. So much so that Party City, Halloween headquarters, Spirit of Halloween, wherever you can think of a mask Halloween celebration store, you can find her face in it. Her face looks like she should have been going to Dr. Miami, but instead she went and saw Dr. Ronald McDonald, and he gave her a whole BBL in her face. What she's doing is, instead of trying to insult very highly intelligent women that are far above her grade, she should be working as an advocate to ensure that her people have rights wherever they go, because even in 2025, Jewish Americans are still targeted, okay? Synagogues are still targeted. anti-Semitic hate is still brewing. Okay, this is just unbelievable to me. So because our people have gone through stuff. I mean, even from when they left the, what would you call, Middle Eastern area, and they started to go and migrate up into Europe. When they got to Spain, all right, it was something called the Inquisitions. They did it to the Muslim, but they really did it to the Jewish faith people. They persecuted them. The Catholic Church persecuted the Jews, and they expelled them from the Latin countries. You definitely have to read up about the Spanish Inquisition. They would make the people that they felt should be condemned for not being reformed as Christians, as Catholics, and they felt like your faith outside of Catholicism was pagan and it was demonic. All right, and so they would make you a public spectacle. They would put these long dunce type of cone head hats and walk you through the towns in Spain, making you a mockery, making you want to denounce your faith as a Jewish or a Muslim person. And so her, she should never. Laura Loomer is like almost 11 or 12 years younger than Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. Okay, Laura Loomer is 32 years old, and she has a body of someone that's well up in their seniors years. And I don't even want to insult our beautiful senior women, okay, but really her body is just not even, like, she's only 32 years old, whereas Jasmine Crockett is 44 years old. Jasmine Crockett has not had a facelift. She's been on the cover of Vogue. You know who hasn't? Laura Loomer. She's been on all type of night shows, all type of big name political shows. You know who has it? Laura Loomer. Even with all of the money that she has wasted on her face, no one cares to invite her. Not even necessarily because of the way she looks. It is because they know that she really doesn't have the mental capacity, and she stands on nothing but insults. And that it's like a dog and pony show. You can only do that but for so long. And then once the public is done with you, just like Candace Owens, once the public is done with you, they're done with you. They will throw you under the bus. They were your number one supporters. Your number one supporters will become your number one detractors. They'll become the ones that work even more efficiently to get you canceled. And that's what's coming up the road for Laura Loomer. Let me know what you think. Please do like, share, and subscribe. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.